right? Why do you need to show me this chandelier piece of shit? There's no need for that. Can we just skip that? We already discussed it. It's dog shit. This is dog shit. That case is completely fake. That's it. So there is a fake watch here. DJ Khaled, you have no reason wearing this one.
Key, but this is my favorite watch. This one. Platinum Rolex. I got this from my jeweler, Pristine. You know, I told him that was like one of my favorite watches, so he went and found it for me. It's Arabic numbers with a baby blue face. It's more than fixed.
Watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas all can look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
What if one of the most recognizable moguls in music, a man who built his entire image on authenticity, success, and luxury, was unknowingly flexing fakes? DJ Khaled, the king of catchphrases and kingpins, didn't just collect Rolex watches, he preached them. Each timepiece on his wrist was a sermon in success, a trophy for every another one he manifested into existence. But when whispers turned into viral TikToks and suspicions into lab-verified bombshells, Khaled found himself at the center of a scandal that cracked open the entire luxury watch industry. This wasn't just about DJ Khaled. This was about all of us who ever believed in the power of a brand. And when Khaled finally spoke, he didn't scream. He warned us. It started like any other TikTok, just a factory worker in a blue jumpsuit, grinning for the camera. The background looked industrial enough. Boxes stacked behind him, a conveyor belt rolling by. But then he said it, the line that would send shockwaves through the luxury world. These don't leave Switzerland. They leave our factory. Just like that, the internet went from chuckling to gasping. Because he wasn't in Switzerland. He was in China, and the these he was referring to were watch dials stamped with the sacred words Swiss made. At first, viewers thought it was a joke. Maybe a dupe factory? A parody? But as more clips surfaced, sheets of Rolex dials being inspected under magnifying lamps, trays of Omega hands getting packed in foam, employees casually throwing around Swiss brand names like it was just another Tuesday, the truth started to settle in. What if the watches that command $40,000 price tags were actually hiding $500 guts? The comments exploded. My Rolex came with a birth certificate and trauma. Now it comes with a lie. Swiss wear, baby. I spent more on a watch than my car, and it was made next to a rice cooker. The humor didn't last. Suspicion took over. If the watch you bought for prestige was secretly assembled across the globe in a facility the brand never mentioned, what else was being hidden? The internet had questions, and the answers weren't coming from Geneva. They were coming from Guangzhou. Before the scandal, before the factory leaks, before TikTok turned luxury into a punchline, there was DJ Khaled. And to him, Rolex wasn't just a watch. It was the watch. The crown on his wrist was part of the brand he built. Larger than life, unapologetically loud, and always on beat. Music videos? Rolex. Breakfast interviews? Rolex. Red carpets, sneaker launches, jet ski mishaps on Snapchat? Always Rolex. He didn't just wear them. He preached them. Arabic numbers, baby blue face, over 50 racks. That's how Khaled described his favorite piece in a 2023 GQ feature, lifting his wrist like it was holy scripture. He wasn't flexing for the sake of it. This was identity. The watch matched the man, rare, bold, unmistakable. And this wasn't a hobbyist dabbling in high-end timepieces. Khaled's collection was deep. Limited editions, vintage sports models, iced-out day dates, rainbow Daytonas. His vault looked more like a museum than a closet. He didn't chase trends. He set them. To fans, Rolex was part of Khaled's DNA, a symbol of success, of having made it, of winning. But now, in the harsh light of this viral scandal, that symbol is starting to crack. Because if even Khaled's $50,000 baby blue masterpiece was touched by mystery hands in an unnamed Chinese factory, what does that say about the dream he was selling? Was it luxury? Or was it just branding with a time zone issue? When the TikTok storm hit, DJ Khaled didn't laugh. He didn't repost it for clout or fire off his usual we the best energy. He went dead silent. Because for someone who'd spent hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, on Rolex watches, this wasn't just a viral moment. It was a betrayal. Sources close to Khaled say he was livid. Not just at the idea that his prized timepieces might have been quietly assembled in a Chinese factory, but at what it meant. The crown he'd been waving all these years suddenly felt counterfeit. He did what anyone with that kind of money and access would do. His team reached out to Rolex directly. Discreet calls, emails, press inquiries. What they got back? Nothing clear. Just vague assurances that Rolex remains committed to Swiss craftsmanship and meets all regulatory standards. No direct answers, no denials, no accountability. And that's when the shift happened. Khaled wasn't just embarrassed, he was insulted. He had helped build the myth. Rolex wasn't just on his wrist, it was in his lyrics, his image, his whole brand identity. And now, the silence from Geneva felt like a slap in the face. Behind the scenes, the conversations got more intense. Legal options, brand distancing. One insider even claimed Khaled threatened to publicly call them out if answers didn't come soon. Because when you sell people a dream of exclusivity, of heritage, of status, and it turns out the magic behind it is just strategic outsourcing, that's not just a letdown. That's war. And DJ Khaled? He's not the type to take that quietly. Boom. The headline hit like a thunderclap across the luxury world. DJ Khaled sues Rolex for $100 million. And just like that, the internet exploded. Twitter was in chaos. Instagram was all memes. TikTok? Wall-to-wall commentary. Some thought it was a stunt. Others called him a hero. But everyone agreed. This wasn't small-time drama. This was one of the most high-profile endorsements of Rolex ever, turning into its most dangerous enemy. The lawsuit pulled no punches. Khaled's team accused Rolex of deceptive marketing, false claims of exclusivity, and intentionally misleading consumers about where and how their watches are made. The number? $100 million in damages. But if you ask Khaled, the money isn't the point. This ain't about clout, he said in a now viral IG Live. This is about truth. I spent years repping this brand. Music videos, red carpets, interviews. I believed in what they were selling. I was what they were selling. And now I find out I was sold a fantasy. Media outlets went into overdrive. CNBC, Bloomberg, TMZ, even Forbes couldn't resist the headline. A rap mogul declaring war on the Watch King. But while the legal machinery began turning behind the scenes, one thing was already clear in the court of public opinion. DJ Khaled wasn't just fighting for his reputation. He was dragging Rolex and their tightly guarded secrets into the spotlight. In the luxury world, it was holding its breath. When the case hit the courtroom, it wasn't just drama, it was devastation. The evidence DJ Khaled's legal team dropped was enough to make a collector clutch their wrist in panic. First up, failed authenticity checks. Not on bootlegs, on real, store-bought Rolexes from official dealers. Models Khaled flaunted in videos and red carpets were torn down by independent watchmakers, and what they found was shocking. Flawed internals, misaligned rotors, and, most damning of all, serial numbers that didn't match Rolex's own database. Then came the whistleblower. A former Rolex engineer took the stand, quiet, composed, and carrying the receipts. According to him, many Rolex components weren't actually crafted in the hallowed halls of Geneva, but in satellite factories across Asia. We shipped movements to Switzerland in bulk, he said. Cases, dials, even escapements, produced abroad, sometimes in China. Then everything's assembled in Switzerland. That's how it keeps the Swiss-made label. He even had internal documents showing production memos and shipment logs. The term for it? Khaled's lawyer called it premium deception. The illusion that you're paying for old-world Swiss craftsmanship, when what you're really getting is global mass production, rebranded at a luxury markup. And just like that, the courtroom wasn't just about Khaled's personal betrayal anymore. It became a trial for the entire luxury watch industry. The myth was cracking, and the receipts were undeniable. Once DJ Khaled's lawsuit made headlines, and those courtroom receipts went viral, the silence from the A-list didn't last long. The culture shifted overnight. Meek Mill was the first to crack the surface. He tweeted, then deleted. So we've been buying $60,000 jewelry with $600 engines inside? Not this different. The internet grabbed screenshots. The tweet went nuclear. Suddenly, wasn't just about watches, it was about status fraud. Then came LeBron James. Fans noticed he unfollowed Rolex on Instagram. And not just that, he quietly archived a string of old posts flaunting his collection. One post from 2020 where he showed off a custom Sky Dweller, gone. No statement, just a digital wipeout. But the biggest shock? Rihanna. She was reportedly set to headline a luxury ad campaign, one of the biggest of the year for a major Swiss brand. Days after Khaled's testimony hit the news, her team pulled out. Industry insiders say she refused to attach her name to any label until they prove complete transparency. The message was clear. The elite were done being silent billboards for brands that couldn't back up their price tags. Stylists started whispering. Jewelers panicked. Watch forums exploded with threads like, "Is my sub fake?" And "How many celebrities got duped?" For decades, a Rolex wasn't just a watch. It was a flex, a certified badge of success. But now, it was starting to look like the world's most expensive costume jewelry. And in Hollywood, nothing's deadlier than looking like you got played. The moment DJ Khaled stepped into that courtroom, the world saw a different man. The flashy mogul with catchphrases and silk shirts had been replaced by something far more dangerous, a man on a mission. No ad-libs. No, another one. Just a stare like steel and a stack of receipts that could burn a hole through the luxury watch industry. From performer to plaintiff, Khaled wasn't there for spectacle. He was out for truth. The courtroom was packed. Security had to hold back paparazzi swarming outside the courthouse. Media vans lined the block. TikTokers live-streamed their reactions. Rolex's legal team entered under a veil of silence, avoiding eye contact. They knew what was coming. Inside, tension hung thick. No music, no entourage, just Khaled seated behind his lawyers, eyes locked forward. When it was finally his turn to speak, he didn't hold back. "This ain't just about me," he told the court, voice steady, tone deadly serious. "It's about everyone they lied to. Everybody who saved up, grinded, spent 50, 60, 100,000 on a dream, and got sold a fantasy." He wasn't reading from a script. He didn't need to. His entire career had been built on authenticity, on success you could see and touch. But now, that success had been undermined by a lie with a crown logo. Rolex tried to keep things technical. Supply chain jargon, country of origin loopholes, legal tap dancing. But Khaled's side had the real ammo. Side-by-side photos of swapped internals, whistleblower quotes, receipts that didn't match. It wasn't just a case, it was an expose. And as Khaled sat there, no longer just DJ Khaled the entertainer, but Khaled the crusader, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't a man fighting for his reputation. This was a man waging war on the illusion. It didn't happen overnight, but when the fall came, it came fast. One day, Rolex was untouchable. The next, the streets were calling it Rob Lux, luxury theft in broad daylight. Secondary markets? Frozen. Watch dealers panicked, listings vanished, and auction houses quietly pulled inventory. The same $80,000 Daytona that flexed on rap videos last year, now worth less than the chain it came with. And the internet? Ruthless. Hashtags like hashtag FakeFlexExposed, hashtag SUES, and hashtag CrownCon trended for days. TikToks showed collectors smashing their watches. Twitter lit up with side-by-sides of Swiss-made timepieces with $500 internals and made in Shenzhen receipts. What started as a personal battle for DJ Khaled had turned into a cultural takedown of the entire luxury watch ecosystem. And Rolex wasn't the only brand bleeding. Audemars Piguet, dragged. Richard Mille, exposed. Users started zooming in on celebrity risks like it was forensic evidence. Threads broke down movement specs, origin loopholes, and why that $250,000 timepiece might just be a $2,000 illusion. Behind closed doors, the whispers got louder. Industry insiders, retailers, former employees, even third-party certifiers confessed they knew. They'd seen the mismatched parts. They'd heard the Swiss assembly excuse. But the margins were too good, the prestige too profitable. So they stayed silent until Khaled cracked it open. What once symbolized legacy, craftsmanship, and status now looked like smoke and mirrors. Rolex didn't just lose face, they lost the crown. And in the luxury world, when the illusion dies, the empire follows. The courtroom fell silent. Then, boom, a verdict no one saw coming. DJ Khaled wins. Not just a symbolic victory, an $85 million judgment against Rolex. The headlines were instant. Khaled wins big. Rolex ordered to disclose global supply chain. $85 million verdict rocks luxury industry. The crown loses its shine. But the real aftershock? The court's order that Rolex must publicly release their internal manufacturing records. For the first time in the brand's 100-plus-year history, the shroud of Swiss secrecy was legally ripped away. Factories, suppliers, assembly lines, everything. This wasn't just a financial hit. It was a cultural rupture, a legal precedent that cracked the spine of the luxury watch world. Rolex, once bulletproof, now stood naked, forced to admit what insiders had whispered for decades, that Swiss-made had been carefully engineered illusion, hiding a global patchwork of outsourced parts and silent factories in China, Thailand, Malaysia. Khaled walked out of that courtroom not just as a plaintiff, but as a disruptor of history. This wasn't just a win for him. It was a warning shot to every luxury house still clinging to secrecy. Because for the first time ever, the courts had declared, prestige is not a defense. Branding is not truth. And in the age of receipts, even the crown can be cracked. Just when the industry thought the storm was over, DJ Khaled dropped the next bombshell. Meet Time Verified, Khaled's brand new platform designed to end fake luxury watches once and for all. Here's the game changer. It's blockchain-backed, meaning every watch authenticated is recorded on an unhackable digital ledger. No more guesswork, no shady middlemen. Even better, it's completely free and, critically, no brand partnerships. Khaled made it clear, this isn't about selling watches or playing industry favorites. It's about real, transparent verification for everyone. The response? Explosive. The app went viral overnight. Millions of users uploaded their watches in just days, sharing stories, proof, and receipts. The luxury world was no longer a closed club. It was now an open ledger, visible to all. Khaled wasn't just suing Rolex. He was building the future. A world where authenticity isn't claimed, it's verified. And this was just the beginning. The moment that shook the culture came not from a flashy new release, but from DJ Khaled himself, right on stage. In a bold, unforgettable move, Khaled traded his once-coveted Rolex for a humble $20 Casio. Holding it up, he declared, "This right here, more honest than all that fake luxury out there." The crowd went wild. Social media exploded. Casio, they sold out overnight. Even Tyler, the creator, joined the conversation, posting a snap of his own Casio with the caption, "New Wave." It wasn't just a watch switch. It was a seismic culture reset. Luxury had been called out. Authenticity demanded. And a new era of honesty was ticking loud and clear. The world was listening, and everything started to change. Auction houses tightened their rules. Influencers, once untouchable, faced tough questions about what they were really endorsing. The luxury game would never be the same. And through it all, DJ Khaled stood tall, redefining his legacy. In his own words, "We the best" wasn't about records. It was about principles. His fight wasn't just for himself. It was a wake-up call for all of us, leaving us to wonder, what else have we been blindly buying into?